Okay, good morning again, everyone. Hey, Augusto, how are you doing? Hope you all have been trading well, trading safe. In today's session, what we have is just under 30 minutes. We have the Swiss National Bank with the interest rate decision. So I'm trying to rush to get to that point where we look at the Swiss franc. All right. And then also later tonight, we have the US GDP, final GDP quarter on quarter to be released, together with Chair Powell speaking at 9:20 p.m. GMT plus 8. So markets are setting up. It has been retracing, but they are setting up, looking like we might see some big moves to come. But first, okay, again, big hello to Jimmy. How you doing? Hey, Jumarinas. Hey, Angel Case. Good to see you all again. Welcome again to the Daily Market Analysis. If you are on the session, if you're new to the session, do remember to drop a message and say hi. Let me know where you're joining us from. And for all the regulars, a big welcome back. Now, if you have any questions at any point in time, please feel free to put it into the chat and let me know. And you can help me out massively by remembering to click on that like and subscribe button especially if you feel that this session and these videos have helped you through your trading journey. Okay? So like I was saying right at the start, at 3:30 in 27 minutes, we have the Swiss National Bank with the interest rate decision. It is looking like it's going to be a 25 basis point rate cut to take it down from 1.25% to a 1% level. All right. If that happens, we should see some weakness to come about on the Swiss franc, on the Swizzy, but there could be a little bit of an intervention like we talked about from yesterday. So we'll pay a bit of attention to that as it happens. Okay. And then following on from that, tonight we have the final GDP quarter on quarter to come for the US, staying at 3%. It looks like, if you look at that, it does generally come out in the around that ballpark. I wouldn't be surprised if we do see a little bit of a weaker number, possibly um, maybe a slightly weaker number, which might bring about some weakness on the dollar. The dollar had retraced overnight, so we might see it bring about um, some correction or resumption to the downtrend. So we'll talk about that, about the dollar shortly. And we have unemployment claims. I'm not too bothered about that because that is a weekly number. 219K, 224K, not too bothered. We have a whole bunch. We have a whole bunch of members speaking from 9 p.m. GMT onwards. Right? We have member Collins, member Kluger, member Bowman. More importantly, and most importantly, Chair Powell speaking again. We're saying at the opening remarks at the US Treasury Market Conference in New York. Then we have member Williams speaking, member Barr, member Cook, all from the FOMC speaking. Again, at this point, I don't think it is going to do too much, right? Because if you see this one, like member Cook, right, participate in a moderated discussion at about AI. Member Bart at a Treasury conference. Bowman at the economic outlook and monetary policy. Kluger at the fireside chat at the Fed Reserve of Boston. Collins at the firefight set at Boston as well. So they're all spread across all the different, all the members are across different media platforms or different events speaking, and none of them are huge policy events. So I don't think this will be big ones, but some little headliners could, or not little, some headliners could bring a little bit of volatility into the pricing, into how price moves. Okay, so we want to pay attention to that as well. And then also at 11:15 p.m. GMT plus 8, we have Treasury Secretary Yellen. Of course, Treasury Secretary will be speaking at the US Treasury Market Conference in New York, where Powell and one of the other members is speaking at. Again, I don't think it's going to be too crazy, but we can't rule out Chair Powell saying anything highlighting, not really changing of a policy, but highlighting the idea or the outline of a timeline for the next rate cut. An idea there has been increasing, I'll show you this as well. There has been increasing speculation. Where is it? When it loads, right? There has been increasing speculation that the next rate cut. Remember, the FOMC meeting was last, I think about 2 weeks ago, a week or 2 weeks ago. It was 25 basis points anticipated. It got released at 50 basis points. Now, they were planning that there were another 2 more rate cuts to come towards the end of the year, and then with that 2 rate cuts to come, they were anticipating that it'd be 25 basis points for each rate cut. Now, when you look at it, it looks like it's going to be, or there's increasing likelihood that there will be a 50 basis point rate cut to come in the next meeting on the 7th of November. So that's going to be interesting, all right? Going from a 25 basis points again to a 50 basis point rate cut to come in November. So that's going to, and that's a bit odd. That's a bit odd, right? Just one day ago, we were at 58%. Now we're at 60%. As that increases, it's a bit odd to see the dollar index pushing back up, right? Technically, if you're talking about a 50 basis point rate cut to come from the FOMC in the meeting in November, we should be seeing, or increasing likelihood, then we should be seeing the dollar index push down. So it's pushing up right now. I'm thinking that as we progress, and because November is still quite far away, as we progress towards that, we could see a bit of a priced in scenario or pricing in scenario, bringing price on the dollar index back down a little bit. Okay, there's also another reason why we saw this push up on the dollar as well. I'll show you that shortly. So something to start paying attention to, right? Something to start paying attention to as odds for a 50 basis point rate cut increases for the 7th of November meeting. Now, looking at this in 20 minutes, we got an interest rate decision from the Swiss. We have the GDP to come. We have the Chair Powell to speak. Through to tomorrow, we have core PCE price index to come for the US, looking to stay at a 0.2%. So it's all going to be quite interesting. For the first time in a long while, gold has been sitting right across. I think it is sitting right across because we're waiting for the GDP number, recessionary fear. So we're waiting for the GDP number. We're waiting for what Chair Powell could say. Or it could just be that it's gone up by that much. It's just going to take a bit of a breather now, a bit of a consolidation. Gonna develop the move possibly to the next level, either right again higher towards 2700 3,000 or back down again. So we'll pay attention to that and I'll break it down for you later on. Okay. Hey, Nuachuku, how are you doing? Good morning. Hey, Stefan, good morning. Hope you're doing well. Now, again, if you are, I see a lot of you on the session, and if you're on the session, do remember to drop a message. Even if you do this every day, drop a message and say hi, let me know that you're here. And if you have any questions, put it into the chat and let me know. Okay? So now, with the anticipation, with looking, well, and I didn't review yesterday because there wasn't any major news from yesterday. Let's ask since we last spoke. Okay, so now looking at this, then we'll look at the dollar index. Do that. I realized the price was missing. Okay, so the dollar index, as it was, this was right after we spoke, right? I'll zoom in a bit more. This was right after we spoke as it was pushing up and then it started pushing back down. I thought, hey, great. It's kind of doing what I expected, pushing up and then back down. But it came down, not outside the Bollinger, it just came back down and then popped right up. Right at the 10 o'clock timing, it shot up from 100.40. About 100.40, pushed up and then further to the upside to 100.80, got right up to the trend line, to that bearish trend line, and then consolidated through the night, or through the morning actually, right? So it pushed up and it sat right there. So that didn't happen. Take that away. As it pushed up, and I saw that at 1 a.m., I saw that pin bar. Right, I saw that pin bar relatively close to that 61.8, testing that bearish trend line. I thought, great, a pin bar at that level, just below that 101 level, we might see it retrace from there back down. I was awake. I was watching Man United do very badly against the in the Europa League. Not very happy. So I was up watching the football match, looking at price, sitting right across and not doing too much. So it was a 1-1 draw and the dollar index was sitting right across. It was absolutely like, oh man, nothing's moving. Right? So it's just sat there straight across and now you see that as much as it's sitting across, there is that chance. There is a small chance that we could see it push back up a little bit more, right? Possibly towards that resistance level up here at 101.30. Okay, so that one's done. We'll take that one away for now. For it to push up or to break down, remember we have GDP numbers to be released and also Chair Powell speaking later. So now looking at the dollar index in this case, you would say that it needs to go past 101. It needs to go past 101. Right, there we go. It needs to go past 101 before it could trade up to 101.30, which is also that 61.8 level. Let me see, let me think. That's not a resistance level anymore, that's support. What I would do is I'll change this around, put this there as an interim, and I'll have that there just because that's where it bounced off from. So I'll change that to a support level. Okay. I why I'm struggling, right? What am I struggling with is that I see this big move down, and we don't actually need that. I see this big move down, And I don't see why it would have a big retrace back up. Right, this big move down, it started July, it's been pushing all the way down. It tested on, well, it's had, firstly, it had that level, right? Then when it broke out, it set right across before coming back down again. Okay, then because of that, we had, sorry, it's going to get a bit messy now, but I just wanted to show you my train of thought. We had that level, right up there, pushed down, and then it came back down, tested this level, broke above that trend line, so that one's done, broke above that trend line, pushed up a little bit more before coming right back down again. So then we have this trend line, which is where it tested and tested, and now looking like it's trying to break above again. So that's why I'm just thinking, like, you know, if it does go up, could it be like the previous two where it goes up, trades right across, and then comes right back down again? Right? And if I were more specific with this, it would be like that. Catching that tail up there, and then in that area there, and then here. Okay, so that's what I'm looking at here on the dollar index. Push up, test. Okay, so what needs to happen here on the dollar is that if it breaks above 101, could trade up to 101.30, right? Break above 101 and bearish trend line could trade up towards 101.30. Then if it doesn't, we could see a push back down again, but a resumption of the downward move would be only if it goes past that point. Okay, sorry, I had to build my train of thought. Okay, so now what we're looking at is if it breaks above 101, we could see it trade up to 101.30. If it doesn't, and if it just bounces around here, we look for it to break 101.80 and then to lead to that downward move. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for. Take all that away first. If it breaks above 101 and bearish trend line, it could trade up to 101.30. Needs to break 100.80 to signal continuation of downtrend. There we go. Took a while, but I made it. Okay. So that's the dollar index done. I'm going to look at Kiwi. I've got 10 minutes to the news. So I'm going to look at Kiwi next. Hey, Sirian, how you doing? I'm in pound yen buy trade. Okay, we'll have a look at that shortly. Good morning, AYJ. Hope you're doing well. Okay. Now, Kiwi dollar. Kiwi dollar push right down. You can see again at that 10 o'clock timing, it spiked right down. So that trade didn't trigger. We'll take that away. It broke all the way down to that 38.2 level. So that one's done. It came right down to 38.2 and that bullish trend line. Right? And that bullish trend line looking like it's going to push back up. So that was just a deeper move that way. At this point, what I would be thinking of, we're looking at the dollar. I hope you had a golden pocket. Hey, Vasanta. We're looking at the dollar sitting right at that decision point, right? And this is why I'm struggling on any big confirmed moves for today. Is I want to see what happens at this area first, right? Look for the breakout to the upside, or it's going to test in this area and push back down. Because if the dollar does push up, then it wouldn't make sense to say that the Kiwi dollar is going to, bounce off this trend line to the upside. But I do like that trend following scenario, right? Even on the H4, if you look at it, it had that big downward push, but it looks like it's going to cross and push back up. So this is going to be counter, or this is in the scenario that the dollar index doesn't strengthen, right? It doesn't break strongly above that 101 level. In fact, if it does turn back down, then we're going to see that dollar weakness. Then you're going to look to buy 6280. I want to look for that. All right. Stop loss will be about 25, 30. Take profit, you have 70 to the upside. So what I mean by that is I want to see it do that and then, well, that and then that. Okay, like that. That. Okay. So looking for a bit of a retrace now, bounce off the trend line for that push up. So 6280, 30 to 70 to the upside. 0.6280 stop loss, 30 take profit, 70 to the upside. Now, okay, then onto the Aussie. Right, Aussie dollar in that channel, right, well within that channel, it sat there and then it broke the downside. Again, we had that multiple scenarios. It came right down to that bottom of the channel, so that worked out. At the bottom of the channel, broke out the channel towards that support level as well. Found the support and bounced off. Now if you look at that and that, right? But it is almost at the midline of that channel. It is right in the middle of that support and that resistance level. At this point, wouldn't be looking to do too much on the Aussie. I'm thinking that if the dollar does strengthen, is trying to, if it does strengthen, then I want to see it come back down. I want to see this come back down to test this support level down here again, right? And if it tests this support level, I'll show you this, right? If it tests this support level and you see that it should be there and that one, yeah. Then I want to see maybe the dollar pushes right up, look for it to come back down, test this level. Dollar strength scenario, you look for it to break the support below this point at 6814. No, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that. I would still say that I want to see this come down and test this level before we decide what to do next. I don't think, because it's quite big. I'm not happy to be selling there, at 6860, back down to 6820, 40 pip move. I'm not happy with that just because the stop loss is going to be a bit weird. But I don't think that if it drops that much, it's going to continue significantly lower as well, right? So I might want to see that come down towards the support. Then after that, maybe bounce back up. Or alternatively, as it sits there, it tests and then look for it to come back down again. Still within that channel. But ideally, I'll look for that. So look for a reaction at 6820. Right, so nothing on the Aussie yet, but we're looking for reaction at 0.6820. Did I get it right? 6820, and that's 6280. Okay, the numbers are just playing tricks with me. All right, then with that, we look at the pound dollar. I've got 3 minutes to the news from the Swiss National Bank. Pound dollar has that the first part of the scenario we spoke about yesterday, right? Looking for it to push down towards this support and trend line area, right? Come down to this point, look for it to bounce and push back up. Now, it didn't do anything all the way through to 1 o'clock this afternoon. You shouldn't have had that trade setup still running. What I'm looking at here is, again, it at this point again looks like we might see some dollar strength come back into play, because if the pound dollar does break down from this support level, we could see it trade lower, right? And if you look at that, 38.2 was tested and rejected. I think we will still look at that. We'll consider the scenarios that it breaks below 1.33. Nice round number level. Break below 1.33, so 1.3285. Stop loss would be about 40 pips. Take profit, you go down to about 100, 110. Right? Because it's been such a big upward trend, you're looking for it to break the support and hit lower. So I'm okay with that. 1.3285, 40 to 110. Okay, we're 1 minute away. Let me switch over to that shortly. Constant 1.3285, stop loss 40, take profit 110 on the pound dollar. Now, as we get to this one, I'll come back to the euro. I'll come back to the euro, but we'll have a look at the Swiss franc first. Here we go. Looking at the Swiss, look at that push down. We're seeing that reaction rate. So they did cut rates by 25 basis points, but yet, so we should actually, in a rate cut scenario, we should be seeing the US Swiss franc or the Swiss franc weaken, which means that the US Swiss franc should be pushing to the upside, right? But it's not, well, the first reaction was a push back down. Now it's coming right back up. You can see that one, I'll take that away for now. One reason why it came right back up, it was outside the Bollinger. This is on H1. I'm going to digress here, so I hope you don't mind this. This is on the 1 minute time frame. We saw it push right down. Now, as it moves, I'm going to give it some time. I'm going to have a look at their monetary policy document. And they got a press conference at 4 o'clock. Is it going to load for me? Everyone's wondering what's happening, right? So it's pushed down. Again, at this point, what I look at for on the news is always that, right? So the first reaction, big reaction to the downside, I will look for it to retrace. Then I'll look only to get in below, for example, below that low level or at that candle, right? So I'm looking for it to do that, consider it that. Then only when it breaks below that candle, I'll look to sell it down. Although it shouldn't be heading down, so I'm a bit like, I'm not going to be looking to sell down. It's not loading. Come on. I don't know whether Diana is on the session, but she's been asking for the scalping sessions, and we're coming to that kind of scenario now. Why is it not loading? Swiss National Bank, what have you done? Okay, so you see here, so the anticipation or the what we should have been looking for, or what we were looking for, a rate cut scenario, we're supposed to see the US Swiss franc push up because of weakness on the Swiss franc. Now that it's pushed down, right, and come back up, I want to see it break down from this point before I would be looking, if, and I'm not trading this right now, so please remember, disclaimer applies. You'll be looking for it to either, a more aggressive method would be to break below this point. Well, the more aggressive method is to get in up there, right? As it pushes down. So hang on, that point. Why there? You've seen that big impulsive move push down. It was outside the Bollinger. It's come right back up. Now, if it comes down and it closes at that point, if I'm not live and I'm rambling away, this could have been a bit of a higher risk move where you go, 10 pip stop and you go 30 pip take profit to the downside. That's what you take on a little bit more risk and do. If you didn't want to do that, then you look for this candle to close, right? You look for this current candle to close, and then look for it to break below that point, which is like that. Then you'll be looking at a scenario where you go that stop loss about, I would say about 15, I like. Then you go your take profit down to your 20 pips just towards this point for that quick trade, right? And you see that moving down. It might, again, disclaimer applies, right? So might push down, might rise back up. So we're looking for it to come down. The thing that you also want to pay attention to is that it's way outside of the Bollinger. Once it comes outside, I'll move this to the side one. Once it's outside the Bollinger, you know that it's more likely to retrace back up, right? It's more likely to retrace back up. So you also want to go, okay, once it comes down, makes a quick profit, get out of it, let it retrace, look for it to come back down again. Okay? Then also remember that when you're trading a news event like that, you want to size down. You want to size it right down, just so that your stop loss can be a little bit wider without affecting your overall risk exposure. You could be looking at, don't do this, but you could be looking at a 20 pip move 1:1 to the downside, right? But oops, man, what was that? Right? Then you have that 15 there that way. So you'll be looking for it to close below that point and get in this way, right? I want to find out why. Hang on, where is it? Why haven't they given me my monetary policy? So Swiss National Bank. Okay, here you go. Swiss National Bank eases monetary policy and lowers to 1%. Ah man, here we go. Okay. Lower by 25 basis points. We know to 1% applies tomorrow. Yes. Inflationary pressure has again decreased significantly compared to the previous quarter. Great. Takes reduction into account. Further cuts in the Swiss policy rate may be necessary in the coming quarters to ensure stability in the medium term. Global economic inflationary pressures likely to continue to ease gradually over the next quarters. That's abroad. Growth is likely to remain rather modest in Switzerland in the coming quarters due to appreciation of the Swiss franc and moderate development. Expects growth of 1.5 for 2025. Forecast for Switzerland as for the global economy is subject to significant uncertainty, momentum on mortgage. That's fine. There's a further slight increase in unemployment. Utilization of overall production capacity was normal. So actually, no big scenario for global. No big thing that shouting out that for why we should see that Swiss strengthen. New conditional inflation forecast is significantly lower than that of June. New forecast is within stability on chart. It puts average inflation at 1.2 for 2024, 0.6 for 25, and 0.7 for 26. And assumption that Swiss National Bank policy rate is at 1%. Okay. So no big surprise there. So what you should be doing, right, is you see the news come out, you see the reaction, you should wait out, you should want to read the statement, right? Read the statement and go, okay, I've seen the Swiss franc, the US Swiss franc push to the downside. It should have been pushing up, right? It should have been pushing up. So based on this news, you wouldn't even have done that, right? Based on this news, you say, okay, it's gone down, it's gone back up, it's come back down. This doesn't fit with my expectation, right? So you'd be like, okay, this doesn't fit in my expectation because I'm expecting it to push up. So you wouldn't do anything on this news. You'd be like, okay, news comes out, minus 25 basis points, should be going up, but it's pushing down. I'm not going to do anything unless the US Swiss franc breaks right up above where it started from at 85, where is it? 8515, for example. Right? You say, okay, I'm not going to do that because this is illogical. This part is illogical. What's logical is that they've cut rates. We should see it weaken. We should see it push up. There were no big surprises in projections. So I'm just going to sit it out and wait for it to push to the upside. That's the 1 minute time frame. This is on the 5. So you say, look for it to push up. 15 had that big pop and look for it to push back up again. And on the H1, it's just sitting right there, right? It hasn't actually done that much. Popped down, then it came right back up. So in terms of a news, this is what I would say is a, you wait for the news and then you don't have a trade. This is a no trade news event because, again, I'm sounding a bit like a broken record, but I just want to I haven't planned to do this session, so I'm just going off the cuff. But you'll be looking for it to test that resistance by push down, so I wouldn't do anything on the US Swiss franc. Okay? Does that make sense? Was that a good, quick snapshot view. Diana's just jumped on and said, "Good morning. How are you doing, Diana?" Catch the replay. I did a quick um, 10 minutes on trying to scalp the news. How to scalp the news if it was in that direction, and how not to scalp the news when you don't have enough information, because you need to read the whole statement. You need to understand why that they have cut rates, and why it's not moving according to plan. Okay, good. Thanks for that, Owen. Thanks for that, Jumarinas. I need a drink. Hang on. Okay. Diana say, look at pound Swiss franc, missed the trade by just 7 pips. Okay, we'll have a look at that shortly. Let me get back to it. So it's set there, not doing too much now. So we're safe to go back to normal service. Let's get back to the euro dollar. And I have so much fun talking about scalping. I love scalping the news. Okay, so euro dollar. Yesterday we were looking at this, and I was anticipating for it to bounce and push up, or for it to break above that 1.12 level to the upside. It didn't do that, right? This was where we were after our session. It came back down. I thought, great, it's going to come back down and bounce up. As it was bouncing up, I thought, fantastic. But what you saw, or what you would have seen, is that it went out, but also the Bollinger, and then it tried to push back in, right? As it came back in, this is where you see, explaining, I told you I'll explain to you why this pushed up. I don't think it was so much because of the dollar strength for this move. I felt like it was a dollar euro weakness that pushed the dollar up, right? So we saw that come down. At that point, I did get into this trade at 1.11, I think 70, about there. 15 pip stop, and then a 45 pip take profit. I actually had 50 to the downside, but it came down, and then I just closed out at 45. So that was my trade on the euro to the downside from yesterday. Now at this point, we'll take all that away. Now at this point, if you look at this, it came down. Take that away first. Right, it came down to that 60, so from that point to that 61.8 level and the trend line, and now it's sitting right there. You can see dollar is still a little bit undecided, right? Dollar is still a little bit undecided at this point, so we're still looking at this to come down, right? Sorry, give me a second. I just need to check something. Okay. Now, as it comes down to 61.8 and pushes up, we're looking at this. Dollar index sitting right across. I'm going to be thinking that it could trade down and push back up. Right? Trade down, test, and push back up again on that trend line. And you see that trend line has been holding all the way. So we looked at the pound dollar for that potential downside. So we look for the euro, and it might even do that. I'll show you that. It might even push a little bit beyond that before pushing back up. Like that. Right? So what I'll be looking for here would be 1.1150, stop loss 20, take profit 50 to the upside. But I'm looking for it to test, bounce, and push back up. Okay, so 1.1150, 20 to 50 to the upside. 1.1150, stop loss 20, take profit 50 to the upside. Dinah saying daily time frame consolidating on the euro. Yeah, I see that. I'm thinking that, I mean, I've been looking to sell. I've been so keen on selling the euro, as it held that 1.12 level. Right, I sold it down last night. I'm looking for that big move. I feel like it could go back up a bit one more time before turning back down again. Why I think that is also because I think that there isn't that big news. It might be tomorrow on the PCE price index, but there hasn't been any of that big news that has that could drive it all the way back down, right? And if you look at it on a daily time frame, you'd also see some sort of a shoulder, head, then a shoulder, ugly shoulder, that might break down again, right? So you have that line there. So I do want to see it have a bit more of a reason to push down, but in the meantime, I think it could test a little bit more before pushing lower again. All right. Yep, that's good. That's done. It might not even retrace. It might just push up, but I will look for that. Then on to the US yen. Right, onto the yen. I was looking for it, and this always happens. I look for it to stay within that little triangle that I always draw, and right after I draw that triangle, it breaks right out. Right, it breaks right out to the upside. We were looking, and this was what I said yesterday, could range between 145 and 143. Look for a breakout potential. I think we were talking about that with BL on the Discord channel, where now that it's broken this trend line, right, and that 61.8 level, so I'll take that one away, and that high, right, that is broken, and now it's sitting right at 145. Right, we say that it's going to range between those two levels. It's sitting right at 145 right now. Basically looking for this candle to close. Looking for this candle to close to push towards the upside. We were talking about 147 as well. Not very far away, so I think that that is a possibility, especially if the dollar does continue to strengthen and recover a little bit more. 145.30, couldn't get to that. 145.30, stop loss 40 pips, take profit 160 to the upside. Will it get to 160 in a hurry? I don't think so, but you can look for that as a possible target level. I'm just thinking whether to go a little bit higher. No, I think that should be fine. 145.30, 40 to 160. Let's put that in. There is that breakout that we could be looking for. We're looking to buy at 145.30. Stop loss 40, take profit 160 to the upside. A very good 1:4 risk reward ratio. Then on to the euro yen. Look at the euro possibly bouncing back up. Look at the yen possibly breaking to the upside. Hence, look at the euro yen trading up right? That would have gone up. You could have entered that trade. You could have hit a stop loss of 40 pips. That would happen. Now at this point, as it pushes up, let me see. As it pushes up, if you're not already in this trade, then you would be looking at above 162, just because it's a round number level. Wait a minute. We have that one as my resistance. We have that as an interim. We have that one there. Okay. So you'll be looking at that one. 162 is there. Look for it to break 162. 162.20. Stop loss, you'll be looking at 30 pips. Take profit, you'll be looking at 50 and possibly, I don't think 150, but you can be looking at 60 pips to the upside on that, towards that point there. Okay, so that is the euro yen. I got pound Swiss franc to do, and also Aussie yen, which Basanta says looks similar to the euro yen. One I think is, I don't think it's going to rush up there. 162 could be that level where it will test and do that. Maybe not to such a big extent, but in that fashion. Okay, so you will look for it to break that 162, 162.20, then to the upside. Now onto the pound yen. Take that away. So I was looking for it to bounce around and then possibly break down. Adjusting this level, you see that it's bouncing and it looks like it's going to push back up a little bit more. Remember again, pound, dollar at this point, if it breaks, okay, trend following scenario is that if it breaks 38.2, you'll be looking at 133.65. You have a 60 pip stop. You have, if it's, you have a 20 pip 25 pip stop loss, a 60 pip take profit to the upside. That's a trend following scenario where you'll be looking at that move up. Okay, so onto the pound yen. I don't think it would be reasonable to consider that break to the downside anymore. Like Surin was saying, she has a buy on pound yen. Ronaldo is on a buy on the euro yen, so that's pushing up nicely. I would have felt that the pound yen buy would have been a little bit early, but fair. Now, as it breaks this resistance that we've seen, right, I would have waited for it to at least break that 194 level. I would have liked for it to break 194 before getting in. You got in at 193.37. Not very far away. 30 pips away. Yep, 30 pips away, that's good. 37 is right there, just before it broke the resistance. As it pushed up, I say if you're not already in this trade, then you would say above 194. Where could it get up to? I would say that point there, just because of those levels. So you're looking at a 170 pip move to the upside. Stop loss will be about 40, 50 pips down. I just want that round number. So take profit at 194. Yeah, so you could do that. You could do 194 test and then look for that to push up again, to stay above that level, like that. But for me, I wouldn't have done anything in that region there. I would look for it to break, then get into that trade. Now looking at the Aussie yen, was that the one? Yes, Basanta asking for the Aussie yen pushing up. I would say that I haven't looked at this for a long time. You have the round number level at 100. Aussie dollar has a bit of that retrace before a possible push back up. So Aussie yen, I would say that you want to be super careful here. It's not exactly not that similar to the euro yen. Look at it retracing now as well, right? Yen is sitting there. So euro yen is retracing, so it's not exactly that similar to the Aussie yen because it does have that big level there. So I want to see what happens at this 100 level where it could test and reject back down similar to what it did um, back here on the 2nd of September. Right here on the 2nd of September. So watch out for that 100 round number level first. Okay? Then back to, I don't know what's happening on the Swiss franc, onto the Swiss franc. All right, it's tried, came back down. So that news again became not something that you would trade and scalp because of that news. As it pushes back down, dollar is still sitting there. So now onto the US Swiss franc as it pushes, no worries, Basanta. As it pushes down, you would also see that that was holding prices. That's why you wanted it to break up before you would buy. That's holding prices. I wouldn't want that. Not too bothered about that. So US Swiss franc, check that one out there. That doesn't actually make sense. We'll take that one away. Okay. So now it's sitting right in the middle. Okay, the thing here now, in addition to what we spoke about when we were looking to try and scalp a bit of a news event, kind of scalping, which didn't play out, you would be, in your mind, you should be thinking that they just cut rates 25 basis points. We were expecting for it to push up. It didn't, it came down, right? So that's one part that doesn't make sense. Then again, you see that the dollar has been pushing up and sitting right across. And we see the US Swiss franc push up and sitting right across. So if the dollar does push up and expecting the US Swiss franc to push up because of the rate cut, I wouldn't do anything here. I wouldn't be looking for that downside here. I wouldn't be looking to buy it up yet because there is that level that has held. So what you would be thinking is, oh, I want it to go past this point, then I'll buy it up. But it's only a small area in between here. So wouldn't do anything on the US Swiss franc. It's retracing out from outside the Bollinger back in, likely to come back in. What I'm anticipating here is possibly a test and then a reject back down again, right? So do nothing on the US Swiss franc at this point. Nothing for now. Euro dollar is still dropping, is it? Oh, good. Okay, so if the euro dollar does break this level, right? If it does break this level, then you would cancel this one out. you cancel that trade idea out, then you'd be looking for that level, right? As it comes down and it breaks at 38.2, then you'd say, okay, first move is if it breaks that 38.2, it's not yet done, right? It's still early in the hour, very early in the hour is the first minute. If it does break lower, then you'll be looking at 1.1120, a bit lower, 1.1115. Stop loss will be about 25 pips. A take profit, you could do 25, so 1:1, right? Or you could do back down to this point here, which is about 60 pip, 65 pip, with a hesitation at 1.1080, right? So could be looking for it to break lower and then to that downside. Okay. Back to this one on the. Thanks for spotting that, Augusto. Back to the US CAD. Didn't break lower. Oh, we're so tired from watching Manchester United not win. Okay, now I just ramble a lot. US CAD dollar pushing up. CAD should be pushing up. Needs to break above this 23.6 level. That point there, I would even be looking at 1.35. Might be that 38.2. Right? Break above that point. Then on dollar strength scenario, you could be looking at 1.3515. Stop loss tight 20, 25. Take profit 80 to the upside. 1.3515, 25 to 80. Buy at 1.3515. Stop loss 25, take profit 80. Take profit 80. Okay. I do gold, then I'll do pound Swiss franc. Gold, well, that'd be quick. Yesterday, oh, no, wait, wrong button. Okay, go back to that one. Gold, yesterday we were saying that bounce off 2652 to trade up to 2670 to 2700. It stayed very, not oddly, it's actually quite normal, but it's just a bit odd for gold recently from the what it's done recently. 2652, right? So we're looking for it to bounce off 2652. This was yesterday at this point. It did bounce off, it pushed up to 2666, came back down to 2652, couldn't find that lower move, bounced off the trend line and pushed up. We haven't seen that kind of moves that we've been spoiled with, or I've been spoiled with over the last couple of days and weeks. Now it is still moving up slowly, right? I think that we might see, if now it's at 2666, right? If it breaks 2670, we could see a big move up. Right? If it breaks 2670, we could see a big move up, possibly to 2700. Okay, so gold, we're looking for it to break 2670, could see rapid rise to 2700. Just could, right? That's what I'm possibly looking out for. Then, so we're looking at that spike up there. Pound. Where am I? Pound Swiss franc. Yes. Ooh, interesting. So we've done all that on the pound Swiss. It's set right across. It's set right across. Swiss franc looks to be setting up. Yeah, not really yet. If you wanted to, if you really wanted to, you'd be looking at 852. That's a 30 pip move, a tight stop. Not something that I'm very keen on, but you can look for that. So we're looking at the US Swiss franc pushing up. So on the pound Swiss, that's why we're seeing that push up. You have the equal point there. You have this as a resistance at 1.14. So ideally, what you're looking for is that it just continues to climb. Right, it does that. It continues to push up towards 1.14. So Dinah said that she missed out on that move. I think you were trying to sell off from the top there. I think I know what you were trying to do is it breaks out, sell at that point for the big drop down. Now it's come down to this point, looking for it to push up. I think that it might be doing that. Like that. I don't think we're going to see too much on this at this point. Pound dollar with some downside, so that's going to counteract the pound Swiss, because pound weakness might push it back down. So it's just going to bounce around there. I would like to see it test at 1.14 before a push back down again. Okay, so I don't think there is anything too exciting on the pound Swiss at this point. And then that's still climbing back up. Okay, so I hope you have enjoyed the very impromptu session of scalping, of a quick idea of what to scalp during the news and all that kind of stuff. Click the like and subscribe, leave a feedback, leave a comment, let me know what you thought about it. When the news arrives at the same time, we can do that. I also want to take a quick minute to remind everyone that if you are in the UAE, in Dubai, or in Abu Dhabi, or anywhere in the UAE, I am doing a 3 trading strategy in 3 hours session. This is on the 13th of October, on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. It is in person. It is live in person. It is absolutely free. So if you haven't already, go check it out. I think the link I can put in there. I don't know whether it works. Go register, right? And if you know anyone who's in the area and might be interested, do share it with them as well. I think it's got a great opportunity. I might not do it again for free next time. So make sure you get them to join. Okay? Now, with all that said, please trade well, trade safe. You're most welcome there, Gusto. Thanks, Jumarinas. Thanks, Angel Case. Thanks, Stefan. Thanks, Jimmy. Basanta said, go trading with me and BL, no more PTSD. Never should have PTSD. Diana, I hope to see you there at the session in Dubai. I hope you can get onto that. I know a couple of you who would as well. Thanks, AYJ. Take care now, you all. Bye bye. Thanks, Erwin.